I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to review the Cinebi Hybrid 4K Quad. It's a little micro quad with 4K video with the RunCam Hybrid on board. This is one of my favorites. We're going to run it today on 2 and 3S, not a 4S battery. Also a wheelbase of 75mm on this little quad. It is quite tiny and it will go lots of small little gaps and stuff. It's pretty fun. It's running 45mm props, and these are HQ props. At times these will spin off on 3S, so sometimes you'll lose a prop. Xing Nano motors, and those are 1103 8000 kV. Pretty peppy. I believe they also might be 4S rated, but I did not try because I didn't want to fry this quad with 12 amp ESCs on board. It has 3 bolts on the bottom. This is a look at the front with your dual cameras up front. One is the 4K and one is an analog camera. And we can shoot 4K at 30 frames per second. We have some optional TPU parts on here as well, which is cool. 2.7 at 60 frames per second, which is what I usually shoot. Also, your RunCam Hybrid's on the bottom. I want to run a 32GB SanDisk Extreme card. Another TPU mount back here with my XM Plus, my antenna post, and my dipole antenna back here. And your XT30, which you're going to be running on your 3S 450 to 650 16x16 iFlight Sussex tower on here with 12 amp ESCs, which is why I'm not going to run it on 4S today. iFlight Micro 200mW VTX with smart audio is kind of nice, and there's no props in the view on this frame. It's sort of like a miniature dead cat type of frame, which is cool. And you get 2 sets of 40mm props, some hardware, some copper strips in there for insulation, and some iFlight stickers and Cinebi Hybrid stickers for the outside of your prop guards. Let's go ahead and get it on the scale, and let's put the quad on the scale without the battery first and see what we get. It's going to be pretty light, 74 grams, not bad at all. Now for the 2S 450, which didn't work out for me. The quad really didn't want to come off the ground with these small props, but I'm going to weigh it anyway. It's 103 grams, not bad. Now we're going to weigh the 3S 450, which is my battery of choice on here. You can go up to a 650, it'll start to get heavy, but 114 grams. Let's do some flying, boys. So let's go ahead and do the FPV flight test on the iFlight Cinebi Hybrid 4K little miniature whoop. The first thing I notice is that it's ultra stable. The Sussex tower, if you've never flown that tower before, it is super tuned from iFlight. There is very little jello in this little hybrid whoop, which is really cool. Just the slightest amount of jello right there, and that's kind of amazing to see for such a small frame, because it's extremely hard to tune the smaller quads. If you've ever had a quad that was under 80mm with a bad tune on it, it is almost impossible to tune. You have to have a lot of experience to handle that much power, especially with these Xing Nano motors on here. 1103s can get quite beastie on 3S, and the smaller you go, with the addition of more power, makes it even harder to tune. So they have a really nice thing going here with a power system and virtually no jello in the camera. So as far as a little like pocket size cinema rig, this is awesome. The video to me also looks better than the Caddx Tarsier. Sorry to say, I prefer the RunCam Hybrid over the Tarsier, mainly because a lot of times this one comes stock set up to 4K, and I can just start recording in 4K for you guys. With the Tarsier, I'm going in and I'm having to fiddle with the settings a little bit, connect it to the Wi-Fi, make sure it's on the right settings. But right here, a little ascent, the punch out, virtually no jello. And again, that's just the slightest, I mean, just barely, I see a tiny little bit of jumpiness to it, but not half as bad as some of the other Cinewhoops I've flown in the past year. But very smooth. And the coolest thing about a Cinemawhoop is, if you've never flown one of these, is that you can go really tight places and come back home with some fantastic footage. And here I'm going to go under the vans again, under that 700. Try not to get too close to that expensive heli, but these little prop guards are pretty good. This little thing really wouldn't hurt much. But there again, there's an example of it trying to handle freestyle, and it doesn't freestyle that well. I would say it's about a 4 out of 10 as far as a freestyle rating right there. I need more camera angle. It was kind of weird to me that they stuck the camera in there without any changeable camera angle. It should have heightened it on the top plate a little bit so we could get just, 20 degrees tilt would have been great for power loops and things like that. So I guess my biggest recommendation is going to be to add some more hardware on the top plate so you can get some tilt out of it. And there I crashed in the van again. But the coolest thing about these smaller quads is that you can get in there so tight, close to the ground, and get some really unique shots that are kind of hard to get with a larger quad and at a slower speed. So you can do some different video angles than what you might be used to. This is almost like 65 millimeter. We're only 10 millimeters away from being a little tiny whoop. So this is a pretty cool quad from iFlight. I like to see that they did the Runcam version. I'm excited about that. That is one of my favorite 4K DVRs, and I think it looks great. A lot of times I shoot 2.7K at 60 frames per second because the frame rate just looks better to me, and it's easier to edit. Not as big of a file. I'm going to recommend the 3S450 for you guys. I also have to say that, again, the tune is excellent. I like that this quad came back in one piece. That's nicely protected under there with the same type of cover that the original Cinebi had. And this one's cool because it does have that forward swept camera angle, so you don't have any props in the view. The HQ props worked out pretty good. I had one fly off during the test, so you want to make sure from the factory you push these down and make sure that they're nice and seated on the motor, because the 40mm props are notorious for flying off unless you have them on nice and tight. But the frame is cool. It's fairly durable. I just wish that there was more tilt. You're going to have to add some extra hardware on the top here just to increase the height of that top plate, and then you can get 20 degrees tilt would be absolutely fine for the speed this quad does. But I'm impressed that these prop guards didn't break as well for some of the crashes that I had. So I think it's fairly durable because it's super light and pretty versatile quad. So if you're looking to have some fun and get some different angles, I think these are fun. You could put a crossfire on this baby and really send this little guy out there. Pretty cool little quad. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Justin Davis. I'll see you on the next one.